What is up, you homosexuals, and welcome back to another video. Hi babies! So today we're going to be reading Twisted Love. Now, I've never read a physical book on this channel, but my friend was telling me like it'll be cool to see me read in this light. So yeah. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Follow my Instagram and Snap and turn on my post notifications so you can know if I want to post a new video. I never read this series before, so it's my first time. I really want to get to the book where he said crawl to me, but I'm not there yet. So I'm going to start with this one and I'm going to go in order. Alex Volkov is a devil blessed with the face of an angel and cursed with the past he can't escape. Driven by a tragedy that has haunted him for most of his life, his ruthless pursuits for success and vengeance leave little room for matters of the heart. But when he's forced to look after his best friend's sister, he starts to feel something in his chest. A crack, a melt, a fire that could end his world as he knew it. Ava Chen is a free spirit trapped by nightmares of a childhood she can't remember. That's real as fuck. But despite her broken past, she's never stopped seeing the beauty in the world, including the heart beneath the icy exterior of a man she shouldn't want. Her brother's best friend, her neighbor, her savior, and her downfall. Hers is a love that was never supposed to happen, but when it does, it unleashes secrets that could destroy them both and everything they hold dear. Damn, I annotate them. All of those books right there, annotated. So I already went ahead and put down my little stick notes. So the blue one says screaming, crying, and throwing up. The yellow one is you cool / oh that's not. Then the pink one is hashtag come ice this pussy. Then the purple one is hashtag need that / funny as fuck. And then the last one, which is green, is a quote. It's content warnings. This book contains explicit content, profanity, a very possessive / morally gray anti-hero, and topics that may be sensitive to some readers. Without further ado, let's get into this video. Chapter 1. Ava. There were worse things than being stranded in the middle of nowhere during a rainstorm. For example, I could be running from a rapid bear intent on mauling me into next century. Or I could be tied to a chair into a dark basement and forced to listen to Aqua's Barbie Girl on repeat until I'd rather gnaw off my arm than hear the songs and put, what the fuck, I don't know what the fuck that word is. Phrase again. But just because things could be worse doesn't mean they didn't suck. Stop. Think positive thoughts. A car will show up. Now, I stare at my phone, biting back my frustration when the app reassures me it was finding my ride, the way it had been for the past half hour. Normally, I'd be less stressed about the situation because, hey, at least I had a working phone and a bus shelter to keep me mostly dry from the pouring rain. But Josh's farewell party was starting in an hour. I had yet to pick up his surprise cake from the bakery, and it would be dark soon. I may be a glass half full kind of gal, but I wasn't an idiot. No one, especially not a college girl with zero fighting skills to speak of, wants to find herself alone in the middle of nowhere after dark. I should have taken those self-defense classes with Jules like she wanted. I mentally scrolled through my limited options. The bus that stopped at this location didn't run on the weekends, and most of my friends didn't own a car. Bridget had car service, but she was at an embassy event until 7. My rideshare app wasn't working, and I hadn't seen a single car pass by since the rain started. Not that I would hitchhike anyway. I watch horror movies. Thank you very much. I only had one option left, one I really didn't want to take, but beggars can't be choosers. I pressed the contact on my phone, set up silent prayer, and pressed the call button. 1 ring, 2 rings, 3. Come on, pick up. Or not. I wasn't sure which would be worse, getting murdered or dealing with my brother. Of course, there was always the chance said brother would murder me himself for putting myself in such a situation, but I'd deal with that later. What's wrong? Wait, what's wrong? I scrunched my voice at his greeting. Hello to you too, brother, dearest. What makes you think something is wrong? Josh snorted. You called me? You never call me unless you're in trouble. True. We preferred texting and we live next door to each other. Not my idea, by the way. So we rarely had to message at all. I wouldn't say I'm in trouble, I hedged. More like stranded. I'm not near public transport and I can't find a rideshare. Christ, Ava, where are you? I told him. What the hell are you doing there? That's an hour from campus. Don't be dramatic. I had an engagement shoot and it's a 30-minute drive. 45 if there's traffic. Thunder boomed, shaking the branches of nearby trees. I winced and shrank farther into the shelter. Not that it did me much good. The rain slanted sideways, splattering me with water droplets so heavy and hard they stung when they hit my skin. A rustling noise came from Josh's end, followed by a soft moan. I paused, sure I heard wrong, but nope, there it was again. Another moan. Oh, hell no. My eyes widened in horror. Are you having sex right now? I whispered, shouted, even though no one else was around. The sandwich I had scoffed down before I left for my shoe threatened to make a reappearance. There was nothing, I repeat, nothing grosser than listening to a relative while they're mid. What the fuck? I don't know what these words is. Just the thought made me gag. Technically, no. Josh sounded unrepentant. The word technically did a lot of heavy lifting there. It didn't take a genius to decipher Josh's vague reply. He may not be having intercourse, but something was going on, and I had zero desire to find out what that something was. Josh Chen. Hey, you're the one who called me. He must have covered his phone with his hand because his next words came through muffled. I heard a soft, feminine laugh followed by a squeal, and I wanted to bleach my ears, my eyes, my mind. One of the guys took my car to buy more ice, Josh said, his voice clear again. But don't worry, I got you. Drop a pin on your exact location and keep your phone close. Do you still have the pepper spray I bought you for your birthday last year? Yes, thank you for that, by the way. I wanted a new camera bag, but Josh bought me an 8-pack of pepper spray instead. I never used any of it, which meant all 8 bottles, minus the one tucked in my purse, were sitting snug in the back of my closet. My sarcasm went over my brother's head. For a straight A student, he could be quite dense. You're welcome. Stay put. He'll be there soon. We'll talk about your complete lack of self-preservation later. I'm self-preserved, I protested. Was that the right word? It's not my fault there were no... Wait, what do you mean he? Josh! Too late. He already hung up. Figured the one time I wanted him to elaborate, he ditched me for one of his bed buddies. I was surprised he hadn't freaked out more considering Josh put the over in overprotective. Ever since the incident, he'd taken it upon himself to look after me like he was my brother and bodyguard, rolled into one. I didn't blame him. Our childhood had 100 shades of messed up, or so I've been told, and I loved him to pieces, but his constant worrying could be a bit much. I sat sideways on the bench and hugged my back to my side, letting the cracked leather warm my skin while I waited for the mysterious he to show up. It could be anyone. Josh had no shortage of friends. He always been Mr. Popular, basketball player, student body president, and homecoming king in high school, Sigma fraternity brother, and big man on campus in college. I was his opposite. Not unpopular per se, but I shield away from the limelight and would rather have a small group of close friends than a large group of friendly acquaintances, period. Where Josh was the life of the party. I sat in the corner and daydreamed about all the places I would love to visit, but would probably never get to. Not if my phobia had anything to do with it. My damn phobia. I knew it was all mental, but it felt physical. The nausea, the racing heart, the paralyzing fear that turned my limbs into useless frozen beans. On the bright side, at least, I wasn't afraid of rain. Oceans and lakes and pools I could avoid, but rain, yeah, that would have been bad. I wasn't sure how long I huddled in the tiny bus shelter, cursing my lack of foresight when I turned down the Grayson's offer to drive me back to town after I shoot. I hadn't wanted to inconvenience them and thought I could call a car and be back at Thayer's campus in half an hour, but the skies opened up right after the couple left and, well, here I was. It was getting dark. Muted gray mingled with the cool blues of twilight, and part of me worried the mysterious he wouldn't show up, but Josh had never let me down. If one of his friends failed to pick me up like he asked, they wouldn't have working legs tomorrow. Josh was a med student. He had zero about using violence when the situation called for it, especially when the situation involved me. The bright beam of headlights slashed through the rain. I squinted, my heart tipping in both anticipation and worriness as I weighed the odds of whether the car belonged to my ride or a potential psycho. This part of Maryland was pretty safe, but you never knew. When my eyes adjusted to the light, I slumped with relief, only to stiffen about again 2 seconds later. Good news? I noticed the sleek black Aston Martin pulling up toward me. It belonged to one of Josh's friends, which meant I wouldn't end up a local news item tonight. Bad news, the person driving said Ashton Martin was the last person I wanted or expected to pick me up. He wasn't an I'll do my buddy a favor and rescue his stranded little sister kind of guy. He was a look at me wrong and I'll destroy you and everyone you care about kind of guy. And he'd do it with looking so calm and gorgeous you wouldn't notice your world burning down around you until you were already a heap of ashes at his Tom Ford clad feet. I swiped the tip of my tongue over my dry lips as the car stopped in front of me and the passenger window rolled down. Get in. He didn't raise his voice. He never raised his voice, but I still heard him loud and clear over the rain. Alex Volkov was a force of nature up unto himself, and I imagine even the weather bowed to him. I hope you're not waiting for me to open that door for you, he said when I didn't move. He sounded as happy as I was about the situation. What a gentleman. I pressed my lips together and bit back a sarcastic reply as I roused myself from the bench and ducked into the car. It smelled cool and expensive, like spicy cologne and fine Italian leather. I didn't have a towel or anything to place on the seat beneath me, so all I could do was pray I didn't damage the expensive interior. Thanks for picking me up. I appreciate it, I said in an attempt to break the icy silence. I failed, miserably. Alex didn't reply or even look at me as he navigated the twists and curves of the slick road leading back to campus. He drove the same way he walked, talked, and breathed, steady and controlled, with an undercut of danger warning those foolish enough to contemplate crossing him, that doing so would be their death sentence. He was the exact opposite of Josh, and I still marveled at the fact they were best friends. Personally, I thought Alex was an asshole. I was sure he had his reasons, some kind of psychological trauma that shaped him into the unfeeling robot he was today. Based on the snippets I gleaned from Josh, Alex's childhood had been even worse than ours, though I never imagined to pull the details out of my brother. All I knew was Alex's parents had died when he was young and left him a pile of money he quadrupled the value of when he came into his inheritance at age 18. Not that he needed it, because he'd invented a new financial modeling software in high school that made him a multi-millionaire before he could vote. With an IQ of 160, Alex Volkov was a genius, or close to it. He was the only person in Thayer's history to complete its 5-year joint undergrad/MBA program in 3 years at an age 26. He was the COO of one of the most successful real estate development companies in the country. He was a legend, and he knew it. Meanwhile, I thought I was doing well if I remembered to eat while juggling my classes, extracurricular, oh Lord, and 2 jobs, front desk duty at the McCann Gallery, and my side hustle as a photographer for anyone who would hire me. Graduations, engagements, dogs, birthday parties, I did them all. Are you going to Josh's party? I asked again. I tried again to make small talk. The silence was killing me. Alex and Josh had been best friends since they roomed together at Thayer 8 years ago, and Alex had joined my family for Thanksgiving and assorted holidays every year since, but I still didn't know him. Alex and I didn't talk unless it had something to do with Josh or passing the potatoes at dinner or something. Yes. Okay then, guess small talk was out. My mind wandered toward a million things I had to do that weekend. Edit the photos from the Grayson shoot, work on my application for the World Youth Photography Fellowship, help Josh finish packing after... Crap, I forgot all about Josh's cake. I ordered it 2 weeks ago because that was the max lead time for something from Crumble and Bake. It was Josh's favorite dessert, a 3-layer dark chocolate frosted with fudge and filled with chocolate pudding. He only indulged on his birthday, but since he was leaving the country for a year, I figured he could break his once-a-year rule. So, I pasted the biggest, brightest smile on my face. Don't kill me. But we need to make a detour to Crumble and Bake. No, we're already late. Alex stopped at the red light. We'd make it back to civilization, and I spotted the blurred outlines of a Starbucks and Panera through the rain-splattered glass. My smile didn't budge. It's a small detour. It'll take 15 minutes max. I just need to run in and pick up Josh's cake. You know, death by chocolate he likes so much. He'll be in Central America for a year. They don't have C&B down there, and he leaves in 2 days, so stop. Alex's voice is curled around the steering wheel, and my wild hormonal mind latched onto how beautiful they were. That might sound crazy because who has beautiful fingers? But he did. Physically, everything about him was beautiful. The jade green eyes that stared out beneath dark brows like chips hewn from a glacier, the sharp jawline and elegant sculptured cheekbones that lean frame and thick, light brown hair that somehow looked both tousled and perfectly This bitch uses big words. He resembled a statue in an Italian museum come to life. The urge to ruffle his hair like I would a kid's gripped me, just so he'd stop looking so perfect, which was quite irritating to the rest of us mere mortals. But I didn't have a death wish, so I kept my hands planted in my lap. If I take you to Crumble and Bake, will you stop talking? Don't be an asshole, sir. No doubt he regretted picking me up. My smile grew. If you want. His lips thin. Fine. Yes. Ava Chan 1. Alex Volkov 0. When we arrived at the bakery, I unbuckled my seatbelt and was halfway out the door when Alex grabbed me and pulled me back onto my seat. Contrary to what I believed, his touch wasn't cold. It was scorching, and it burned through my skin and muscles until I felt its warmth in the pit of my stomach. I swallowed hard. Stupid hormones. What? We're already late and they're closing soon. You can't go out like that. The tiniest hint of disapproval etched into the corners of his mouth. Like what? I asked, confused. I wore jeans and a t-shirt, nothing scandalous. Alex inclined his head towards my chest. I glanced down and let out a horrified yelp because my shirt, white, wet, transparent, not even a little transparent, like you can kind of see my bra outline if you looked hard enough. This was full on see-through, red lace bra, hard nipples, thanks air conditioning, the whole shebang. I crossed my arms over my chest, my face flaming the same color as my bra. Was it like this the entire time? Yes. I crossed my... Wait, you could have told me. I did tell you just now. No. I don't like him, but I'm about to use one of my sticky notes. I'm gonna use the purple, which is funny as fuck. I wrote LMAO, he an asshole. Sometimes I wanted to strangle him. I really did, and I wasn't even a violent person. I was the same girl who didn't eat gingerbread man cookies for years after watching Shrek because I felt like I was eating Jenny's family members, or worse, Genji himself. But something about Alex provoked my dark side. I exhaled a sharp breath and dropped my arms by instinct, forgetting about my see-through shirt until Alex's gaze flicked down to my chest again. Oh my god, stop, I'm gonna eat you. The flaming cheek returned, but I was sick of sitting here arguing with him. Crumble and Bake closed in 10 minutes and the clock was ticking. Maybe it was the man, the weather, or the hour and a half I spent stuck under a bus shelter, but my frustration spilled out before I could stop it. Instead of being an asshole and staring at my breast, can you lend me your jacket? Because I really want to get this cake and send my brother, your best friend, off in style before he leaves the country. My words hung in the air while I clapped my hand over my mouth, horrified. Did I just utter the word breast to Alex Volkov and accuse him of ogling me and called him an asshole? Dear God, if you smite me with lightning right now, I won't be mad. Promise. Alex's eyes narrowed a fraction of an inch. It ranked in the top 5 most emotional responses I pulled out of him in 8 years. So that was something. Trust me, I was not staring at your breast, he said, his voice frigid enough to transform the lingering drops of moisture on my skin into icicles. You're not my type, even if you weren't Josh's sister. I'm not your type. Is you cool? Nigga, is you cool? Ouch. I wasn't interested in Alex either, but no girl enjoys being dismissed so easily by a member of the opposite sex. Whatever. There's no need to be a jerk about it, I mumbled. Look, C&B closes in 2 minutes. Just let me borrow your jacket and we can get out of here. I had prepaid online. All I needed to do was grab the cake. A muscle ticked in his jaw. I'll get it. You're not leaving the car dressed like that, even wearing my jacket. Baby, why does it matter? I'm not your type. I'm not your picture, so let me go get the damn cake. Okay? Alex yanked an umbrella out from beneath his seat and exited the car in one fluid motion. He moved like a panther, all coiled grace and laser intensity. If he wanted, he could make a killing as a runway model, though I doubt he'd ever do something so gay. Gosh, whatever the fuck. He returned less than 5 minutes later with Crumble and Bake's signature pink and mint green cake box tucked beneath one arm. He dumped it into my lap, snatched his umbrella closed, and reversed out of the parking spot without so much as blinking. Do you ever smile? I asked, peeking inside the box to make sure they hadn't messed up the order. Nope, one death by chocolate coming right up. It might help with your condition. What condition? Alex sounded bored. Stick up the acid is. What? I already called the man an asshole, so what was one more insult? I might have imagined it, but I thought I saw his mouth twitch before he responded with a bland, no, the condition is chronic. My hands froze while my mouth unhinged. Did you just make a joke? Explain why you're out there in the first place. Alex evaded my question and changed topics so quick I had whiplash. He made a joke. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't heard it with my own ears. I had a photo shoot with clients. There was a nice lake and spare me the details. I don't care. A low growl slipped from my throat. Why are you here? Didn't figure you were the chauffeur type. I was in the area and you're Josh's little sister. If you died, he'd be a boy to hang out with. Alex pulled up in front of my house, next door, aka Josh's house. The lights blazed and I could see people dancing and laughing through the windows. Josh has the worst taste in friends, I bite out. I don't know what he sees in you. I hope that stick in your ass punctures a vital organ. Then, because I'd been raised with manners, I added, thank you for the ride. I huffed out the car. The rain had slowed to a drizzle, and I smelled damp earth in the hydrangeas clustered in a pot by the front door. I'd showered, changed, and catch the last bit of Josh's party. Hopefully, he wouldn't give me shit for getting stranded or being late because I wasn't in the mood. I never stay angry for long, but right now, my blood simmered and I wanted to punch Alex Volkov in the face. He was so cold and arrogant and him. It was infuriating. At least I didn't have to deal with him often. Josh usually hung out with him in the city and Alex didn't visit there even though he was an alumnus. Thank God. If I had to see Alex more than a few times a year, I'd go crazy. All right, so we have chapter 2. We should take this somewhere more private. The blonde trailed her fingers down my arm, her hazel eyes bright with invitation as she swiped her tongue over her bottom lip. Or not, whatever you're into. My lip curled, not enough to classify as a smile, but enough to broadcast my thoughts. You can't handle what I'm into. Despite her short, tight dress and suggestive words, she looked like the type who expected sweet nothings and lovemaking in bed. I don't do sweet nothings or lovemaking. I fucked a certain way, and only a specific type of woman was into that shit. Not hardcore BDSM, but not soft. No kissing, no face-to-face contact. Women agreed, then tried to change it up halfway through, after which I'd stop and show them the door. I have no tolerance for people who can't keep it to a simple agreement. That was why I stuck to a roster of familiar rotating names when I needed a release. Both sides knew what to expect. The blonde was not making it onto that roster. Not tonight. Not tonight. I swirled the ice in my glass. It's my friend's farewell party. She followed my gaze towards Josh, who was basking in female attention of his own. He sprawled on the couch, one of the few remaining pieces of furniture after he packed the house up in anticipation of his year abroad, and grinned while 3 women fawned over him. He had always been the charming one. While I put people on edge, he put them at ease. His approach toward the fairer sex was opposite of mine. The more the merrier, according to Josh. He probably fucked half the DC metro area's female population by now. He can join too. The blonde edged closer until her tits grazed my arm. I don't mind. Same, her friend, a petite brunette who had been quiet up until now, but who eyed me like I was a juicy steak since I walked in the door, piped up. Liz and I do everything together. The insinuation couldn't have been clearer had she tattooed it across her exposed cleavage. Most guys would have jumped at the opportunity, but I was already bored with the conversation. Nothing turned me off more than desperation, which reeked stronger than her perfume. I didn't bother answering. Instead, I scanned the room for something more interesting to hold my attention. If it were a party for anyone else but Josh, I would have skipped it. I had enough on my plate without attending pointless social gatherings, but Josh was my best friend. One of the few people whose company I could stand more than an hour at a time. And he was leaving Monday for his gap year as a medical volunteer in Central America. So here I was, pretending like I actually wanted to be here. A silvery laugh peeled through the air, drawing my eyes toward the source. Ava, of course. Josh's little sister was so sweet and sunshiny all the time. I half expected flowers to sprout on the ground whenever she walked, and of singing woodland animals to trail behind her while she traps what the fuck through meadows or whatever girls like her did. She stood in the corner with her friends, her face bright with animation as she laughed at something one of them said. I wondered if it was a real laugh or a fake laugh. Most laughs, hell, most people were fake. They woke up every morning and put on a mask according to what they wanted that day and who they wanted the world to see. They smiled at people they hated, laughed at jokes that weren't funny, and kissed the asses of those that secretly hoped to dethrone. I wasn't judging. Like everyone else, I had my mask, and they ran layers deep. But unlike everyone else, I had as much interest in ass kissing and small talk as I did in interjecting bleach into my veins. Knowing Ava, her laugh was real. Poor girl, the world would eat her alive when she left the Thayer bubble. Not my problem. Yo, Josh appeared beside me, his hair tossed and his mouth stretched into a wide grin. Hangers on were nowhere. Wait, nope. There they were, dancing to Beyonce like they were auditioning for a gig at the Strip Angel where a circle of guys watched them with their tongues lolling out. Men. My gender could use a little more standards and a little less thinking with their small heads. Thanks for showing up, man. Sorry I hadn't said hi till now. I've been busy. I arched an eyebrow at the lipstick print smeared on the corner of his mouth. You have a little something on your face. His grin widened. Bad Giovanna. Speaking of which, I'm not interrupting, am I? I glanced at the blonde and brunette who moved on to making out with each other after failing to capture my interest. No, I shook my head. $100 says you won't survive the full year in bumfuck nowhere. No women, no parties. You'll be back before Halloween. Oh, ye of little faith. There'll be women, and the party is wherever I am. Josh swiped an unopened beer from a nearby cooler and cracked it open. I actually wanted to talk to you about that. Me being gone, he clarified. Don't tell me you're getting sentimental on me. If you bought us friendship bracelets, I'm out. Fuck you, dude, he laughed. I wouldn't buy your ass jewelry if you paid me. No, this is about Ava. My glass paused an inch from my lips before I brought it home, and the sweet burn of whiskey flowed down my throat. I hate beer. It tastes like piss. But since it was the drink du jour Josh's parties, I always bought a flask of Macallan whenever I visited. What about her? Josh and his sister were close. Even if they bickered so much I wanted to duct tape their mouth sometimes, that was the nature of siblings, something I never gotten to experience. The whiskey soured in my mouth. I set my glass down with a grimace. I'm worried about her. Josh rubbed a hand over his jaw, his expression growing serious. I know she's a big girl and can take care of herself unless she's getting stranded in the middle of fucking nowhere. Thanks for picking her up, by the way. But she's never been on her own for so long, and she can be a little too trusting. I had an inkling of where Josh was going with this, and I didn't like it at all. She won't be alone. She has her friends. I inclined my head toward said friends. One of them, a curly redhead and a gold skirt that made her look like a disco ball, chose that moment to hop onto the table and shake her ass to the rap song blasting through the speakers. Josh snorted. Jules? She's a liability, not help. Stella is as trusting as Ava, and Bridget, well, she has security, but she's not around as much. You don't need to worry. Thayer is safe, and the crime rate here is close to zero. Yeah, but I feel better if I had someone I trusted looking after her, you know? Fuck. The train was heading straight off the cliff, and I couldn't do anything to stop it. I wouldn't ask. I know you got a shit ton going on, but she broke up with her ex a couple weeks ago, and he's been harassing her. I always knew he was a little shit, but she wouldn't listen to me. Anyways, if you could keep an eye on her just to make sure she doesn't get killed or kidnapped or anything, I'd owe you big. You already owe me for all those times I saved your ass, I said wildly. You had fun while doing it. You're too uptight sometimes. Josh grinned. So was that a yes? I glanced at Ava, took her in. She was 22, 4 years younger than Josh and me, and she managed to appear both younger and older than her years. It was the way she carried herself, like she'd seen it all, the good, the bad, the downright ugly, and still believed in goodness. It was as stupid as admirable. She must have felt me staring because she paused her conversation and looked directly at me, her cheeks tinting pink at my unflinching gaze. She changed out of her jeans and t-shirt into a purple dress that swirled around her knees. Too bad. The dress was nice, but my mind flashed back to our car ride when her damp shirt had clung to her like a second skin and her nipples had strained against decadent red lace of her bra. I meant what I said about her not being my type, but I enjoyed the view. I could imagine myself lifting that shirt, tucking her bra out with my teeth, closing my mouth around those sweet hardened peaks. I yanked myself out of that startling fantasy. What the fuck was wrong with me? That was Josh's sister. Innocent, doe-eyed, and so sweet I could throw up. The total opposite of the sophisticated, jaded woman I preferred both in and out of bed. I didn't have to worry about feelings with the latter. They knew better than to develop any around me. Ava was nothing but feelings, with a hint of sass. A ghost of a smile passed over my mouth when I remember her parting shot earlier. I hope that sticking your ass punctures a vital organ. Not the worst thing anyone said to me, not by a long shot, but more aggressive than I expected coming from her. I never heard her say a bad word to or about anyone before. I took preserved pleasure in the fact that I could rile her up so much. Alex, Josh prompted. I don't know, man. I dragged my eyes away from Ava in her purple dress. I'm not much of a babysitter. Good thing she's not a baby, he quirked. Look, I know this is a big ask, but you're the only one I trust not to, fuck her. Jesus, dude. Josh looked like he swallowed a lemon. Don't use that word in relation to my sister. It's gross, but yeah, I mean, we both know she's not your type, and even if she was, you never go there. Why I'm not his type? What's his type? Oh, he said his type. But still, physically, baby, you know I'm bad. A sliver of guilt flashed through me when I remembered my errant fantasy of moments ago. It was time for me to call up someone from my roster. If I was fantasizing about Ava Chen of all people. But it's more than that, Josh continued. You're the only person I trust, period, outside my family. And you know how worried I am about Ava, especially considering this whole thing with her ex. His face darkened. I swear, if I see that fucker, I sighed. I'll take care of her, don't worry. I was going to regret it. I knew it. Yet here I was signing my life away, at least for the next year. I didn't make a lot of promises, but when I did, I kept them, committed myself to them, which meant if I promised Josh I'd look after Ava, I'd fucking look after her. And I'm not talking about a text check-in every 2 weeks. She was under my protection now. A familiar creeping sense of doom slithered around my neck and squeezed tighter and tighter until oxygen ran scarce and my tiny lights danced before my eyes. Blood everywhere. On my hands, on my clothes, splattered over the cream rug she loved so much. The one she brought back from Europe on her last trip abroad. An inane urge to scrub the rug and tear those bloody particles out of those soft wool fibers one by one gripped me, but I couldn't move. All I could do was stand and stare at the grotesque scene in my living room. A room that not half an hour earlier had burst with warmth and laughter and love. Now it was cold and lifeless, like the 3 bodies at my feet. Oh, that's not. Yeah, oh, that's not. What the fuck? I blinked and they disappeared. The lights, the memories, the noose around my neck. But they come back. They always did. You're the best, Josh was saying, his grin back now that I agreed to take on a role I had no business taking. I wasn't a protector. I was a destroyer. I broke hearts, crushed business opponents, and didn't care about the aftermath. If someone was stupid enough to fall for me or cross me, 2 things I warned people never, ever to do. They had it coming. I bring you back, I don't know, coffee, chocolate, pounds of whatever is good down there, and I owe you big. And I owe you a big, fat favor in the future. I forced a smile. Before I could respond, my phone rang and I held up a finger. Be right back. I have to take this. Take your time, man. Josh was already distracted by the blonde and brunette who'd been all over me earlier and who found a much more willing audience is my best friend. By the time I stepped into the bathroom to answer the call, they had their hands beneath his shirt. I don't know what that word is, but it says, I said using the Ukrainian term for uncle. Alex. My uncle's voice raps over the phone, scratchy from the decades of cigarettes and wear and tear of life. I hope I'm not interrupting. No, I glanced through the sliding door at the revelry inside. Josh had lived in the same rumbling 2-story house off the Thayer campus since undergrad. We roomed together until I graduated and moved to DC proper to be closer to my office and to get away from the hordes of shrieking, drunken college students who partied through campus and the surrounding neighborhoods every night. Everyone had turned out for Josh's farewell party, and by everyone I mean half the population of Hazelburg, Maryland, where Thayer was located. He was a town favorite, and I imagine people would miss his parties as much as they missed Josh himself. For someone who always claimed to be drowning in schoolwork, he found a lot of time for drinking and sex. Not that it hurt his academic performance. The bastard had a 4.0 GPA. Did you take care of the problem? My uncle asked. I heard a drawer open and close, followed by the faint click of the lighter. I urged him to quit smoking countless times, but he always brushed me off. Old habits die hard. Old bad habits, even more so. And Ivan Volkov had reached the age where he couldn't be bothered. Not yet. The moon hung low in the sky, casting ribbons of light that snaked through the otherwise inky darkness of the backyard. Light and shadow, two halves of the same coin. I will. We're close. To justice, vengeance, salvation. For 16 years, the pursuit of those three things had consumed me. They were my every waking thought, my every dream and nightmare, my reason for living. Even in situations where I've been distracted by something else, the chess play of the corporate politics, the fleeting pleasure of burying myself in the tight, warm heat of a willing body, they lurked in my consciousness, driving me to greater heights of ambition and ruthlessness. 16 years might seem like a long time, but I specialize in the long game. It doesn't matter how many years I have to wait as long as the end is worth it. And the end of the man who destroyed my family, it would be glorious. Good, my uncle coughed and my lips pinched. One of these days, I'd convince him to quit smoking. Life had driven any sentimentality out of me years ago, but Ivan was my only living relative. He took me in, raised me as his own, and stuck by me through every thorny twist of my past towards vengeance. So I owed him that, at least. Your family will be at peace soon, he said. Perhaps. Whether the same could be said of me, well, that was a question for another day. There's a board meeting next week, I said, switching topics. I'll be in town for the day. My uncle was the official CEO of Archer Group, the real estate development company he founded a decade ago with my guidance. I'd had a knack for business even as a teenager. Archer Group headquarters called Philadelphia home, but it had offices across the country. Since I was based in D.C., that was the company's real power center. Though board meetings still took place at HQ. I could have taken over as CEO years ago, per my uncle's and my agreement when we started the company, but the COO position offered me more flexibility until I finished what I had to do. Besides, everyone knew I was the power behind the thorn anyway. Ivan was a decent CEO, but it was my strategies that had catapulted into the Fortune 500 after a mere decade. My uncle and I talked business for a while longer before I hung up and rejoined the group. The gears in my head cranked into motion as I took stock of the evening's developments. My promise to Josh, my uncle's nudge about the minor hiccup in my vengeance plan. Somehow I had to reconcile the two over the next year. I mentally rearranged the pieces of my life into different patterns, playing each scenario out to the end, weighing the pros and cons, examining them for potential cracks until I reached a decision. Everything good? Josh called out from the couch where the blonde kissed his neck while the brunette's hand and me became intimately acquainted with the region below his belt. Yes. To my irritation, my gaze stayed straight towards Ava again. She was in the kitchen, fussing over the half-eaten cake from Crumble and Bake. Her tan skin glowed with a faint sheer of sweat from dancing, and her raven hair billowed around her face in a soft cloud. About your earlier request, I have an idea. But that's all for me. Let me know if y'all want a part 2, because if I don't hear nothing about a part 2, I'm going to finish this shit on my own. Stop, wait, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, follow my Instagram and Snap, and turn on my post notifications so you get notified when I post a new video. That's all for me, babies. I love y'all. Happy New Year. Mwah. Talk to you later. Stay gay.